So today I plan to put the armor of Battlefield 1 on trial. Okay, so for those that may be advocates for it, they really like armor in Battlefield 1, I urge you to keep an open mind. Because your mind's not open, your butthole is, and I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that. So, just surrender one of them, your choice. So today, this is something that's been slowly chipping away at my faith and my, I guess, resolve when it comes down to armor, because we all know and we all agree that armor in Battlefield 1 is its gimmick. It's its thing. It's the thing that Battlefield does that nobody else does, and it's really great, to be honest. And I know a lot of people are going to look at me like, Pwn, you have no area to speak on this subject. You just do infantry only. And what you don't know is that armor gives me raging boners. I absolutely love armor, not to play in them, but to go against them. Nothing is more satisfying than outplaying an armor, some sort of LAV or a tank or whatever the situation is. The most satisfying experiences are taking those out, whether or not it's getting behind them and slapping some C4 on the rear end or doing whatever you need to. It was always the most juiciest way to take down something, and it was one of the most awesome feelings that you can get in Battlefield. So that aside, I don't have an issue. I've never had an issue with armor in any of the other video games. None at all. Battlefield 4, 3, BC2, A-okay, no problem here, guys. This one's a little different. And my reasoning for this is that if you look at the infantry, there are a few things you're going to notice. Number one, the C4 compared to the dynamite, the damage is widely different. It's not the same. You can't really take out a full tank with a bit of dynamite. You cannot do the same amount of damage with the AT rockets that you could with the RPGs. So technically, the overall strength of these weapons are not the same. And the AT grenades only do about 20 damage, so it takes about 3 people at the same time within the same range of this tank, which is pretty close quarters, to take out one of those. So unless it's ambushed at the perfect moment, heavy tanks don't really go down. It usually only happens when they get into inner city areas and they overextend, and people know this and they take advantage of this. So if we've covered one thing so far, that the strength of the infantry-based weapons are not on the level that they used to be in previous Battlefields, so they're weaker. Not only that, they're also a lot harder to use. You're more vulnerable while using them. You have to either get inside of a window, a very vulnerable area, or lay down on your tummy and bury your dick in the dirt just to get shot by a tank or other infantry. It's not a safe thing to lay prone and shoot an AT rocket. I mean, that's pretty much all you gotta do. You can't wield it like you could in RPG. That's a lot of additional vulnerability that we never had in the past. You're thinking the same thing with dynamite. We used to be able to just get right up on the caboose of something, slap a few of those C4 right on the side, run away and detonate. Nowadays, you have to drop them on the ground, then run away and detonate, and hope that it hasn't moved at all for you to get maximum damage. And even when that maximum damage goes off, it's not enough to kill it. So this is the situation we're in. Infantry weapons, anti-tank weapons, are not at the strength nor the ease of use that they used to be, so they are technically weaker, and I would say it's considerably weaker, because it takes a lot more effort, a lot more teamwork to take them down, and in a public game that just doesn't come together as often as you think. Now, in terms of the strength of the armor, they're still up there. They're still as dominant as always. Very good with pressure. They can take down buildings, blow up piles of people, take out other armor. They're pretty freaking strong still. And they got a buff of their own. And that is with the self-repair. That is over the top. That is a whole lot of casual drizzled on top. That feature right there makes it to the point that nobody needs to pull out a repair tool anymore. Nobody needs to protect it because it can do it on its own. And this is why people have started to use this. This is why Rush as a game type is pretty much crippled. Whoever's got the tank, you know, they're winning that set of tellies. It's how it's going to work. And it's pretty crazy that it works like this, but it is, and people know this. This is why these tanks abuse this system, that extra strength they're given with the repair, and they sit on hills and just pew and pick away at infantry, because infantry can't do anything to them. It would take a total of, 6 or 7 rocket shots into a heavy tank to kill it, from distance, hoping they're accurately going to hit it. And by the time you hit him once, he's probably just going to back up and try to fix whatever you just did to him. And he's going to come right back knowing right where you are, and he's going to destroy you. And people know this, which is why it's so easy and so common for people to go 50-0, 50+0 in these tanks then. So if I have everything down properly, infantry is weaker against armor. They're more vulnerable against armor, so technically compared to previous Battlefields, they've been nerfed in a way. They're not as dominant, and they're not capable of putting out the damage that they could have in the past. Whereas armor has a major benefit now from the auto repair system. So technically armor got stronger, got better, while infantry got weaker. And this has created a rift inside the way the game plays. People are abusing the repair system, so they honestly probably need to pull that from the game. And I know seeing as how they incorporated it, it's highly unlikely they do this. But something needs to be done. People are just camping with the armor, and it's not proving to be a fun experience. They're not vulnerable. If they just sit back, there's nothing we can do with rocket guns. It just doesn't do enough damage quick enough. So they need to ramp up the damage output on pretty much every piece of anti-tank explosives in the game besides HE mortars. Those are the only ones that I consider to be balanced. Everything else needs put up quite a few damage. AT grenades need to go up 5 damage. Rocket guns need to go up a few, so they're hitting at least 20, if not 22 or 23. So there needs to be some changes. Dynamite needs to hit as hard as C4 used to be. 3 or 4 of those should be able to put down any sort of armor in the game, and they're already more difficult to use because they can't stick, so you gotta pray that they're all sitting still and you can detonate them before going off. So I don't want the tanks nerfed. The tanks are strong. They're supposed to be how they're supposed to be. Now the auto repair may need revisiting, you know, killed in the face. But besides that, the overall strength and presence of tanks are just how they've been in any other Battlefield. They don't need touch. It's the infantry weapons and devices for the kits that need buffed. That's what needs to change. Now, my last note, we're going to talk about the planes. Now we're talking about the AA. This is the only way that infantry, in a reasonable fashion, can take out these planes. These planes swoop by fast. They do a lot of damage, and they pick apart at infantry. It's frustrating how many times I get bombed in a game. And I know I can take a shot at it with my sniper. I can get a few shots into it with an LMG. But they can pretty much be out there on the horizon repairing and ready to come back and do it all over again. There's not enough chunks. So unless there's a large coordinated group of people with infantry weapons shooting at it at one time, it's not going to go down. I almost never see that happen. That's what the AA was designed for. It's what we need to use to take down aircraft. It's the only defense infantry has against them. And the fact that they keep nerfing them time after time after time, damage, distance, everything. This thing has been picked apart because the community's whined about it, but it's a necessity. And it needs to go back to how it was. They need to roll it back once or twice, and it's right where it needs to be. It's supposed to be strong. You are vulnerable as hell when you're on that thing, right? Let's just be honest with ourselves. Anytime somebody shoots an AA, you get tunnel vision. You whip around, you notice right where it is, and you are happy because that thing, it makes a lot of noise. It shoots a beam up to the sky, basically some come fuck me in the ass beacon, and that's what you do. You get excited because you know this guy is standing still, he's looking at the sky. It's a sniper's wet dream. This is the easiest kill that you can secure in a game. So easy. And they have a limited window to get those shots in before people migrate to them and take them out of it. This is a set location on a map that every plane knows where it is. Every pilot will know where they are. Now they can choose to avoid them, to keep their eye on them, to target them, to blow them up and wait for them to respawn. They can be worked with, but people just want to be lazy and not have to have a challenge. People don't like being shot down. And when you get into their airspace, you're going to have to contest it or cower. Figure it out. Stop being a pussy and saying, hey, you guys got to nerf these because it's sitting in one place. You know where it is. Infantry knows where it is. It's vulnerable to infantry, snipers, tanks, aircraft. Everything is a counter to an AA. So that's my point. Infantry is far less effective against armor now than they have been in previous battlefields, which means it's going to affect the dynamic, the flow, the experience as a whole. They don't need to be stronger than they were before, but they need to at least be on par. Dynamite needs to hit as hard as C4 did, seeing as how it's even harder to use than C4 was. And I'm okay with things being harder to use as long as they're as strong. And these are things that they need to fix and work towards, because I feel like there's no way that I can get close with Dynamite and kill a tank. I feel like there's no way that even with a combination of AT grenades and rocket guns that I can take out armor anymore. It just does not seem reasonable. You need quite a few people coming together at the right time, at the exact moment to attack it at once before it can get away and repair or insta-repair. And that's an overwhelming presence in a game, and it's not healthy in my opinion. So that's the only issue I have with Battlefield. I love Battlefield. I'm going to keep playing Battlefield even if this continues, but this is something that I think is a pretty significant problem they need to address. They need to do something about buffing the anti-tank devices in the game. And that's my feeling. If you guys share this, you guys gotta be heard. Talk about it in CTE forums, share it with the developers, do what you gotta do. If you disagree with me, let me know down in the comment section below. So, thanks again, guys. I'll catch you with another video tomorrow. I'm gonna start doing some of the CTE gun reviews in the next few days, so I'll catch you with those.